Good morning, coaches, healers, therapists. How are you doing? Sanae here, and today I am talking about the emotional avoidance loop and how this is keeping you recreating the same patterns of lack and scarcity in your business and your finances. So this is really for you if you are a powerful coach, as most of you are gifted, deeply gifted. You create transformation for your clients and you are working really hard. You're doing all the things, you're showing up, you're following, strategies, you are doing your mindset work, and yet you still feel like you're on this perpetual loop when it comes to your finances, like you're never able to kind of take yourself to the next level. So the emotional avoidance loop is something that I came across, and when I did, it has completely transformed how I see any situation I find myself in when I'm not connected to my emotions, and it's been a real game changer for my clients as well. So essentially, the emotional avoidance loop is a paradox that, so let me backtrack. It's a paradox because there is an emotion that you would do anything not to feel. So it's different for everyone. There may be, similarities, but in essence, there is an energy that is so uncomfortable that you would do anything not to feel it. And we'll label those emotions, it could be shame, rejection, frustration, disappointment, guilt, overwhelm, feelings of fear, any of these kind of emotions that feel really uncomfortable in our bodies and you would do anything not to feel. And there's always one that stands out. So for example, for me, it was shame. I would do anything not to feel shame. That kind of, I was vibrating at the frequency of shame for so many years in my life, and it was playing out in my finances. So the emotional avoidance loops is where we will have an emotion, we don't want to feel it, very uncomfortable, we're very aware of it, but we will suppress it. And in order to avoid feeling it, we consciously and unconsciously create behaviors in order to not feel that emotion. But the paradox is those behaviors that we consciously or unconsciously adopt to not feel that emotion are the very behaviors that recreate the situation that then closes the loop and causes us to feel the emotion that we would do anything not to feel. So we're caught in this loop. So for example, for me, as I said, it was shame. I was vibrating at the frequency of shame. I had so much shame in my psyche around my finances and in particular around my debt. So when it came to setting myself up for behaviors to avoid the shame, what I would do is I would work really, really hard, like to the point of burnout. So I'd be oscillating between sort of full fire on, all guns are blazing, working so many hours relentlessly, and then hitting burnout. So that was helping me to avoid the shame because I'd be working so hard, and so I could justify, that I'm doing well. But also the other thing that I was doing was I was not looking at my money. So I would avoid looking at my bank statements. I would avoid looking at my credit card statements. I never set up any kind of spreadsheets to actually look at where I am, what's my money doing, where am I month to month. I just avoided doing that because so I didn't have to feel the shame as well when I actually looked at, oh my God, this is my actual situation. It was too frightening. So as a result of those behaviors, I was then recreating situations where I was perpetuating the shame because I was in the dark when it came to my money. And I was working so hard and not seeing the results because I wasn't dealing with the root problem. So that would then perpetuate more shame. Another one that I see quite a lot is the avoidance of rejection. So if you feel you would do anything to not feel the feelings of rejection, which is, quite a common one in business. If you're not attuned to it, you fear rejection. So your behavior might be that you half-heartedly promote your services. You've got one foot on the brake when it comes to promoting your services or your offers, so that you don't have to get the sting of rejection. Or maybe you don't follow up on prospect calls because you'd rather stick your head in the sand and not know rather than have somebody tell you no. But in doing that, you set up the situations where you don't get the sales, you don't make sales, and therefore it closes the loop. You're back in that feeling of rejection. So that's the emotional avoidance loop. Got the emotion you would do anything not to feel. You create consciously and unconsciously behaviors that try to avoid feeling that, but those behaviors are the ones that set up the situation to then feel those emotions. So you're caught up in this loop. So what's the solution? Well, you've heard the saying, no doubt, that you've got to feel to heal. Got to feel to heal. And that's partly true. But now, from my sort of, experience in this field, it's more about witnessing. And yes, witnessing is feeling, but not feeling it and identifying with it, but actually observing that emotion. Instead of avoiding it, allowing yourself to witness it in your body. That's what it's trying to do. It's trying to be fully expressed, and then it can transmute. It can dissipate. It's almost like when you witness that emotion in your body, you fully feel it. And from a witness consciousness standpoint, it's almost like you're shining a light into the dark. And of course, the darkness can't survive in the light. So as you shine a light on this sensation in your body, and that's all it is, it's just trapped energy. It's a sensation. When you shine the light of witness consciousness on it, you give it the opportunity to dissipate. And in doing that, what also happens is you start to, as it lifts, as that heavy, murky, negative energy starts to lift, what is revealed is the data that is being held underneath it. Now, what I mean by the data is simply the beliefs that you are holding on to, the negative beliefs, the limiting beliefs, the self-identifying beliefs that you are holding on to, that is recreating this situation. So again, looking at my debt situation, that understanding this helped me clear my debt in 6 months, £50,000 in 6 months after being in debt for 23 years. So as I allowed myself to be with the shame and allowed it to be fully expressed in my body. And don't get me wrong, the reason we avoid it is because it's so freaking uncomfortable. So for me, there were tears were flowing. I felt that white hot shame, like literally reverberating through my body. But as I allowed myself to just be a witness to it, it took a couple of sittings, because this is decades worth of shame that's been sort of locked in. As I allowed myself to witness it and be with it, and it started to transmute and dissipate and lessen and lighten, what then came up very clearly into my consciousness was the beliefs that I'm undisciplined, I can never stick at anything, I'm a loser, I can't do this. It was these kind of chronic beliefs that I recognized instantly, but they were so sort of deeply buried that I couldn't access them whilst the shame, the heavy, murky shame, was in the way. So you've got to allow that sensation to be fully felt and allow the data that it's kind of blocking to be brought to the surface. So once you do that, you're free. You are liberated. You don't need to set yourself up to avoid that emotion anymore, because it's no longer inside of you. You have liberated yourself. So it's so powerful, so powerful. So I hope this lands with you, that you can understand, oh, I see what I'm doing in my behaviors. I'm avoiding the very thing that I need to feel in order to heal and come from it at a witness conscious. So you're not identifying with the sensation, you are observing it. All right, my love. So I hope this helps. If you need support with this, if you need help with this, just reach out. I'd be very, very happy to support you through this, because it's not easy. It's not always easy to do it on your own. So sending you heaps of love. Have an amazing day, and I will speak to you all again soon. Bye for now.